Alright, what's up, guys? I've made this video like 20 million times. This is 100% the last take on this, but this is I6 Fina, and I want to say this right now. I6 Fina is this interesting character, okay? Because up until, if you want me to be, here's the TLDR. Intron 3 is all that you really want on Fina, because I6 literally does nothing, okay? I mean, you can get I5, I5 does something, but I6 isn't a worthwhile role. And I3 is just you really I4 you want it for the skill. A lot of her bonuses don't work the way that you want them to. They don't scale. So like all of these don't scale, right? You can only get the duration up and dot, but it doesn't matter. So the main thing about her with Intron 6 is, and it's like a core game thing. It's this, okay? All characters that are like buffers, they just are there to buff your main character, okay? In most content, your combat AI isn't really meant to like play the game and like defeat enemies and do stuff and be useful. Frankly, they aren't meant to do, right? A lot of the time they're there to buff your character and then do a little bit of extra damage on the side with their weapons, but then their weapons run out of ammo, so then they're useless. uh, so that kind of sucks. But with Fina, Fina has this really interesting thing, okay? Where at pre I6, right? Right, and here's the thing. Pre I3, I mean pre I6, right? I3, you play her as a combat AI, it's the best way to play her. Up until I6, I6 is designed for her to kind of be played by herself because it's like when Fina deals weapon damage, each bonus effect on the target is suffering crit chance and the attack is right. It gives her like 100% crit chance, and then like she converts this, but this second part isn't even useful in 80% of content, so I don't even care about it. It's really cool and it works, and so like it's really nice as a combat AI, right? And I'm pretty sure like for bosses and stuff, it'll be nice too because she'll add that extra bit of damage as a buffer. Whereas like if you were to have Truffle and Filbert and you're right, actually not a good example. If you were to have like Tabitha support you, Tabitha in the current immersive theater wouldn't be able to do as much damage as Fina because Fina will get the bonus. So in that aspect, yeah, she can do a little bit of extra damage, and it's kind of good as a combat AI. In that way, if you use it as a tool for that, it's not bad. But the thing about it is this kind of plays more like I want this character to do damage, be a self-sufficient character, because over here, right, it increases the skill damage and skill range, and her multipliers aren't great, but her skill damage and skill range, her skill damage scales her ability that gives her more damage bonus. So it's this weird like thing where it it wants her to be more self-sufficient because the skill damage isn't for your teammates, it increases Fina. Whereas if you wanted her to be insane, this would just increase your teammates too, but it doesn't do anything to your teammates. So like you have this weird thing where she right here, oh, it gives right here, you can do additional damage, right? And it's a lot of this stuff, right? It starts from I3, and this is what I was saying before I3. I3, these ones, right? They work with your teammates. All of these work with your teammates. Okay? But when we get to I4, this doesn't work with your teammate. Like why? If you wanted to be a combat AI or a support, why does this not work with your teammates? And then over here, the elemental damage bonus, right? I can understand if they didn't want it to be like, oh, if they get the buff, they get the elemental because it could be kind of busted, right? But giving it like the modifier, right? It could be busted because then it's like, what's the point of like Fina even playing the game? But it's like, hey, why don't we just make it so that this buff right here is a debuff on the enemies, right? And it just it does something for your teammates. And I haven't tested this out on content high enough, so I'm not 100% sure if this is a debuff. But it's like even then, it's like right, it's for Fina, so I don't think it works like that. It sucks. It really sucks. And I want Fina to work so badly, but it's just like, bro, like you can't even play her. And so here's the other thing too. Okay, so we went over a kit and why our kit is flawed. Okay, Now the next thing is, okay, well, yeah, you could do this, and then weapons. Weapons in this game are really bad. Now, Fina herself is a band-aid for weapons. When you equip Fina on your team, she gives your teammates those additional multipliers to actually make weapons feel good and viable. And this is the reason why I said systemically they need to fix this. One, they need to fix the Covenanters, because the Covenanters systemically are a reason why you cannot build Fina, right? Fina, currently, you you cannot build her in a way. I tried Resolve, right, and it doesn't work. When I want to build Rhythm for weapon damage, this is how I build her. I cannot do this build on Fina to make her do a lot of weapon damage. So as a character, I cannot do that. Of course, I would put a little bit more duration on her to try to get her to work more, but you can't run this on Fina. And because you can't run that weapon damage setup on her, it doesn't work. And so she's really good at buffing and being a band-aid for it. But systemically, the weapons are so bad that even her Intron 6, which was like, oh my gosh, it's a million crit rate. It's, oh my gosh, it's like 150% crit rate or something like that. It's like, it doesn't mean anything because 150% crit rate of 24% crit chance on a 24 is like the max, 26 I think, but it's same thing. It's only like, what is it, like 24, like it's only like 36% crit chance. It's not even that good. It's not even that good because you can't even overcrit with that. And then the thing is, if you're building into overcrit, then you're hitting so many diminishing returns on your weapon, you're not getting anything. The next thing is that weapons are so bad. Right now, currently, the only good weapons are this weapon right here because this weapon actually has a multiplier on the basic attack, right, to deal double the damage. And so this weapon feels really good. But this weapon, right, and also it's Spike, which is also a very important thing because Spike is bugged right now and Spike works regardless. If the enemy has HP, Spike works. If you attack an enemy with a shield, it does the same damage as if you don't attack him with a shield. So Spike doesn't work the way it's supposed to work, which is interesting and it's weird and it's because it's not worded like that. It's like we're triggering delta the target's HP. Like it doesn't. So it's weird. So Spike weapons are really good. So you want to run a Spike weapon, and this weapon is Spike, and it's really good. And it has the best wedge that gives it 2x damage on basic attacks, which is absolutely insane, right? Because all the other swords, I didn't even say this, all the other swords, right? And it's not like, oh, Fina's a sword user, that's why you know. You want to run it because the swords, this one is attack, but this one is smash, so it doesn't get the insane spike damage, right? This one is slash. This one is spike, attack speed, right? But it's like, do I care? I mean, attack speed is fine. Like, maybe you can take off the attack speed wedge on your thing. Right? And this cooldown is nice. This weapon is weakly locked, so I don't even care much for it. Right? And I'd say trigger probability, 150% is probably better than the attack speed because you're proccing your slash more. Right? If this wasn't gated by the Hydro, this weapon would be insane on her, but it's not. But even then, it doesn't matter because of attack. So this element system or whatever, this physical damage system in the game just isn't great for character weapons. And a lot of people said they poorly implemented character stuff, right? Like they poorly implemented stuff over from Warframe. And this is a system that I believe they poorly implemented too. Because what if every weapon just had every single physical type on it, but it was just weighted differently and you could build into it. So the base number was weighted differently. That would work a lot better because at least you can hit spike procs and oh my, imagine if you could spike and things so you could like melt enemy shields. Oh my, it'd be insane. Right? So a lot of these aren't great. The base damages aren't great. The base weapon isn't great. And you have to run spike to get a multiplier. And then you also want to run this so you can get a multiplier. And so it sucks. It sucks because there's so many weapons that you'd want to run, but this weapon is like the only one that's semi-viable. And then also in terms of weapons, this one and this one are probably the weapons I'd run because they're spike and spike is broken. And then this weapon you can't run because you don't give yourself the attack, and who cares because their kit is overloaded with attack and it's slash. And I don't feel like beam weapons work properly right now. They're weird. I don't like how like the ammo runs down and it just like it doesn't feel great. So yeah, it's super insane. And I'd say, right, all of these issues, they all add up. And they're all systemic issues with the game. And they all make Fina a bad character at I6. And because you can't equip morale on her, because you can't do these weapons, because you can't build her. You can't give her good weapon wedges to make her a main DPS. When I6 you kind of want a main DPS her. You can't give her good things to make her an I6 character. Like it sucks. It sucks. And yeah, she'll be good for bosses and like immersive theater. She'll be a nice support that can deal damage to bosses. But at the end of the day, she's not a good character on her own in 80% of content, which is where you want to run her. And so she's very self-sufficient and targeted in this niche game mode. Okay. So yeah. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.